Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Daddy Daughter Discussions. This is where I get together with my daughter Patrice, and we talk about all the things that fathers and daughters maybe don't want to talk about, should be talking about, or just might end up talking about. How you doing today, Patrice?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope the weather's nice down in Louisville.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's like raining in Chicago, but it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so you reached out to me because you said that you had a topic that you wanted to talk about, and you wanted to talk about it so bad that you brought it up last time when we had our conversation. So we hit some unfinished business from last time, so we can finish it up today. So tell me about that topic. What is it you wanted to discuss?
When fathers introduce their new girlfriends to their children after leaving their mother.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. After leaving, so leaving, you don't mean actually leaving. You mean splitting up.
Yeah.
Right?
But
So it could be one person leaving the other. Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure. Okay, okay. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think in terms of? I know you and I've had to deal with that. I mean, I never married your mom. And we were young. We were 18, and things happen. People make decisions when they're 18. But so you've had a chance to meet. Or be a part of my relationship experiences, which were with women. I never dated guys or anything like that. Um, uh, and so, and your mom got married, so your mom was married for a while. So, without putting out people's business, I just want people to be able to structure the conversation. So, what are your thoughts that come to mind when you talk about, the stickiness of introducing your child to your significant other?
um I think it's just I think sometimes daughters wonder where they stand when you have a new girlfriend. Like when you bring a new girl in, it's just kind of like, okay, well, is my dad still my dad, or is he not my dad anymore? And I mean, this is from a child's perspective, not an adult. Obviously, I wouldn't feel that way now. But I think that as a kid, you kind of wonder if your dad still likes you as much as he used to, because now he can't spend as much time with you as he used to when he was with your mom. Because when your dad's with your mom, he's more prone to he comes around a lot more, or he may still live in the home. But when he separates or leaves her or she leaves him, if he finds someone else, then he's probably living somewhere else and doing different. He has to adjust to a different lifestyle now, so that means that you have to too.
That's interesting. It's funny. I was reading an article on a website called dadsdivorce.com, and one of the things that they did say in the article is that the age of the child does make a difference. That when kids are less than 6 years old, it's easier for them to make the adjustment. Whereas kids that get older, they have opinions and questions, and maybe they're confused about things, so it becomes a little bit tougher. Like when the kids become teenagers. So what do you think? I mean, if you think about, let's say little kids under the age of 6, or let's say under the age of 8, and then you go from 8 to say 21, and then 21 and older, which group do you think is the easiest to introduce a new partner to your kids?
The youngest.
Mm,
Just because I think when you're a teenager, like you said, when you're a teenager, 18, whatever, you develop your own opinions, and if you don't really like the person, you voice it. And I mean, that's pretty common.
interesting. Yeah. It's hard. It's weird. I think. Well, let me ask you this. I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think about the difference between, or what differences do you think that there are between, let's say you're talking about a child because you got gender, right? You got the boy child, girl child, and then you have the mother and the father, right? So you got all these different combinations. You got the mother introducing a new boyfriend to her son or to her daughter, the father introducing the girlfriend to the son or the daughter, and then we won't even we don't I mean, then there's a whole complication of what if you're dating somebody of the same gender, which we don't have to necessarily hit on that today. If people have opinions, we'd like for them to know or like for them to share this, but I don't. I've never brought a man home to my daughter, and you've never dated a woman, as far as I know. But then again, I ain't here to judge. But let me ask you this: so, um, you know, what do you think about the difference in gender for parents? Like, do you think that there's a difference? Let's say the son. Let's say you're talking about. Let's start with daughters. Let's say you're a mother, and you're introducing your daughter to a new man. Um, how do you think that transaction looks like versus a father introducing a woman to his daughter?
Well, I really think it depends on who you live with. If you solely live with your father, then, or I'm sorry, if you solely live with your mom, then you'll be more accepting of her boyfriend because he'll be around more. Whereas if you only see your dad every weekend, then you, you know it's kind of hard to accept somebody that you only see once every 8 or 9 days. So I think it just really depends on who you live with, and I think that the one that whoever you live with or spend the most time with, that's the one whose side you're going to take the most.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. So you even throw in another variable that I didn't even consider, which is who is the custodial parent, right? Because that does make a difference. And one of the things I definitely have noticed is that I do think that um, introducing anybody to your child, the first thing that I think about as a father is you have to think about safety and health, right? Physical and mental safety, physical, mental health. By safety, I'm talking about the fact that that person that you may be in love with, they could be a child molester. There's a lot of molestation that happens from the boyfriend of the mother of the child. People can look up the statistics. I know a couple guys who've worked as police officers in crimes against children units, and they said that a lot of molestations occur from the mother's boyfriend. So a lot of times you have to be really cautious about that. About who you bring your kids around, making sure that the kids know how to speak up in case somebody hurts them, that maybe the situation is monitored in an appropriate fashion, things like that. Now as far as mental health and safety, I think that's important too because I think sometimes as parents just people just live their lives, and sometimes you have parents that just seem to live their lives without even thinking about how it affects the child. So they'll make an adjustment and just kind of look at the child and say, okay, I'm changing my life. You need to deal with that. You got a new daddy now. You got a new mama now. So deal with that. And for kids, sometimes I think that can be really traumatic to the point where it affects, their happiness level. Some kids become suicidal. Some of them become delinquent, or whatever. They just get into things that they normally wouldn't get into because maybe they're feeling unhappy, unsafe, or unloved in the new situation. So I think that, and obviously, and you can tell me what you think about this, but it seems to me that paramount and foremost has to be the protection and the safety of the child, but not it to the point where the child is dictating your relationships. Now, how do you think people can draw their line? Because sometimes you'll see people that will never, won't even date for 20 years because they don't want anybody around their child. Or if they bring a new partner around their child, they don't give the partner any authority to discipline the child, stuff like that. And I think that can really ruin a lot of relationships because a lot of people, I don't know about other people, but I know, I don't, a woman with kids has never bothered me. But when you have spoiled kids and I can't help discipline those kids, I don't want to be a part of that because I'm dealing with the stress and I can't do anything about it. So what do you think about that? How do you draw that line between making sure your child's interests are paramount and not catering to every single thing the child wants?
Well, I don't have any children, so I don't know. I guess
But you have friends that are kids and you kind of seen
what
various
my one of
relationships.
my yeah one of my friends, she has a daughter. Her daughter's 6, and she's had the same boyfriend since her daughter was 2. So he's been pretty consistent in their lives. But I know that she said even now, after 4 years or well, almost 5 years of dating, she still, if her daughter, because they live together, so if her daughter, stays at home with him all day while she's at work, she'll ask her daughter, how was your day? What happened today? And her daughter pretty much tells her everything, and she says she even checks her body just to make sure that nothing's going on. And I mean, some people may feel like that's overboard, but I think that those are the things that you have to do in order to make sure that everything. Your sound's not working.
Yeah, I so spilled that on my shirt. I was drinking my coffee and trying to see. That's what I get for trying to do more than one thing at one time. But go ahead, keep talking.
But some people may feel like that's overboard, but I think that sometimes that's what you have to do to make sure that your child is always going to be okay. Now, as far as him, if she does anything wrong, she said a lot of times if she gets in trouble at school or something like that, she'll have him, have conversations with her and talk to her about, how to act appropriately and how to be a lady. And she said like they go on like he's really big on if he takes her out on a date, he'll take her daughter too, just so that because her father's not around, just so that she can have that father figure in her life. But at the same time, she still asks questions. She makes sure that her daughter's okay on a regular basis, which I think that every responsible parent should do that. And even, dads who have girlfriends, they should still do that because you never know what people may be doing when you're not looking. And, it's easy for a child to tell you that something happened and not have any proof, but it's also very easy for a child to not say anything and have all the proof in the world.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's an excellent point that you made. I think that I think we can agree that it's a tough, delicate situation. I know that it's also something that you never do perfectly. I know that when I look at my own life, I know that I wasn't perfect in terms of how I introduce you to people and things like that, and I have to apologize for that. For the part I played in kind of not doing everything the way I should have did it all the time. Um, but it is rough. I mean, it's I never got married, and and I think that it is. I think that stability is important, and so I would imagine that longer term relationships at the very least are better than shorter term, or at the very least take your time before you introduce your child to somebody. That's one thing I could say that I think I did pretty well. I didn't, I wasn't gonna just bring any woman around my family or anybody because you don't want to bring crazy people around your family or people that you're not serious about or people that are gonna embarrass you. Even though I can think of a time or two where maybe I did do that, but at the same time I think uh, I think the child's interests have to be, for first and foremost. And let me read a little bit of what I saw on dadsdivorce.com in terms of tips that they have for people that want to introduce their child to a significant other. Number one, they said when you introduce, you may want to pick a neutral location with a short activity with a definite end. So we're going to have dinner at Applebee's from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and that's when I'm going to introduce you. So that way, I guess it doesn't last on and on and on. What do you think?
That's horrible.
You think that's horrible? Why do you think that's horrible?
Yeah. I think that if you go to a neutral location, then it should be something like putt putt. Or like, I mean, you got to kind of treat it like a first date. And most of the time when people go on first dates, they do stuff like that, like putt putt, or they'll go to a batting range or something like that. So that way you can be active, but you can also have conversation. Now, if you're just sitting having conversation, it can get extremely awkward. But if you're active and you're doing things, then I think it kind of it takes the stress level down, and it also takes your mind off of, well, damn, what do I say to this kid, or what do I say to this lady? It can just come naturally.
Okay, okay. Well, I think that's good. That's good stuff. They also say so maybe their advice is correct. It just you just don't pick an Applebee's, pick a putt putt, or at least Dr. Patrice believes that a putt putt is better than an Applebee's, and I have to confirm, and I agree with you, Doctor, that is a good recommendation. Number two, they said, do not try to talk your children into liking the person. I guess maybe they're saying try to let them make their own decision and kind of figure it out for themselves. What do you think about that?
I don't think you should pressure your kids into liking someone, because I think when you pressure them into liking someone, that's when it definitely doesn't go as you planned. Just let it happen naturally. If it, and I mean, I think that if the child has understandable reasons as to why they don't like this person, then listen to those reasons. But if they're just like, I don't like her just because I don't like her, then that's not a good indicator that this isn't the person that you should be dating. I think that you should just obviously ask for their opinion, but say, why do you feel this way? And if they can't give you a good reason, then I mean, continue to date the person, and I'm sure that they'll come around because eventually they'll realize that it's not a good reason either. Your sound is off.
Sorry, I keep turning it down. The third thing that they mention is that spending alone time with your kids is important, is a priority, and that you have to create clear boundaries. You can't just assume that because I'm dating somebody, then now every time I spend time with my kids, I'm going to be spending time with this partner at the same time. What do you think about that?
Repeat the question. Turn
Well,
it up.
I was asking. So, what do you think about that? I always have to hit a button to turn my audio back up. So, so they were saying that that alone time with your kids is a priority, and that if that you should create clear boundaries between the time you spend with the kids and the time you spend with your new partner. What do you think about that?
A clear boundary, no. Uh, I don't know. I guess I just kind of like, what if that child needs you, but you're just like, I'm going somewhere with my girlfriend at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna be with my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm reading an article here where they're saying that you shouldn't be in a hurry to introduce someone to your new kids. Aaron Welch, a licensed therapist with the LifeWorks group, says that the tendency is to be very excited that you've met someone you really like, especially after a tough breakup or divorce. Because of the excitement, people believe their kids will share that same feeling. So maybe it does kind of say that taking your time is important. Maybe making sure the relationship is serious. Personally, I kind of believe that waiting a year, or 6 to 9 months or something like that, is it makes sense, especially if the child doesn't live with you. Now, if the child lives with you, maybe you have to shorten that time a little bit. But I think at the very least, I know that um, my parents never got divorced. But if they got divorced, um, I wouldn't be trying to be okay with anybody new coming into either the lives of either one of my parents. It just wouldn't have been of interest to me. So it would seem to me that if you're going to do that, you're going to jump that hurdle. Take your time. Make sure that this person's worth it, because it's not going to be an easy hurdle to jump. And you see some people that will have a new person in their child's life every 6 months, and I don't think that that's healthy for anybody. You know,
That's disturbing.
say it again.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it can really throw kids off. I mean, I think kids are fragile. So, uh, let me see here. I'm trying to.
But
Oh, go ahead.
I do think that if you do meet someone, tell them about your children from the beginning. Don't
Mm,
hesitate to tell them that you have children,
mm-hmm.
because you have to see if they're cool with it. I mean, if you've been dating this person for 6 or 7 months and then you all of a sudden say, I want you to be my child, they might not be cool with that because they never knew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the last thing I'll share before I let you get the last word. I'm reading an article on Psychology Today where they're talking about how your relationships impact kids. And they say the kids are sponges who absorb the world around them. When it comes to the relationship between their parents, let's see, they notice everything basically, and that kids are sensitive to their parents' relationships, whether it's in a marriage or outside of a marriage, and that let's see, that children actually, even in married couple, in the homes of married couples, they become very anxious and worried when their parents are very tense, which says that if you have if you have a relationship and you introduce somebody to your child, not only do you want to make sure that that is a lasting relationship, you want to make sure it's a balanced, stable, mature relationship, because it does disturb kids greatly when they're seeing the adults around them fighting and arguing all the time and going through all kinds of crazy drama. And I'm a big believer in the idea of not even including your kids in your relationship drama. Like, so don't have little Paquan talking to the police, telling the police what happened when mom and daddy were fighting in the car. Unless you really absolutely have to do it. No, your kids are not going to be able to recover as quickly as you will. And I think sometimes people can see their children as like little soldiers in their little battle against the other parent, and maybe the kids are okay with that to a point, or appear to be okay on the surface, but I think it leaves them very, very disturbed. Like if a woman is having problems with her child's father or with her boyfriend, and her daughter is, she has her daughter like playing backup on everything that she's doing and saying, well, her daughter's growing up thinking, that I don't like men, or this is why men are all bad. Men are terrible people. Or the son can end up feeling like he's the man of the house, like he's got to protect everybody. So maybe his growth becomes stunted, where he's so busy being a husband for his mama that he can't be somebody else's husband because he already got a woman. So I think in general, I'm definitely a big believer. I mean, I see that all the time. I see a whole lot of guys, raised by their moms, where the relationship is so close that these men can't have a normal relationship now because they already got a wife. You know, and so I personally think that your relationships are your relationships. I think every parent has a right to have relationships. Like if you're single and you want to date, I don't think you should sit at home for 18 years because you got a child. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I think you should certainly be protective of the child. Make sure the child's a top priority, but at the same time, I think if you bring people into your life and you respect them and love them, you have to give them some sort of priority, some sort of say. I can say also as a man, if I was to say move into a house with a woman with children, children never bothered me. But again, if every single time the child gets out of line, you're telling me that the child is number one no matter what, that even if the child is wrong, that their needs, their priorities are going to be above mine as the man of the house, I'm not going to want to be in that house. I'm going to leave. So when you share a life with a person, you have to be willing to share a life. And I can just say that because I think about my own mother. My mother remarried when I was 3, so I only knew one man as my father, and he took complete responsibility as my father. I never ever once saw my mother say something like, "Don't you put your hands on my child." I never saw her say something like that. Even when he was wrong, she supported him because she saw him as the head of the household, and she was also the head in her own way, and it was a split. It wasn't like, oh no, this is mine and these are my kids and you're just an add-on, you're just an accessory to the household. Well, if she had treated him that way, I guarantee you the marriage would not have lasted. He would have eventually moved out. It would have caused too much tension. So even though sometimes I didn't get what I wanted, like I could probably go complain to my mother and say, "Oh, he's doing this to me. He's being mean to me." I never saw her sort of go to him. Maybe behind closed doors they had conflict, but I never saw her go to him and say, "Yeah, you need to treat my son better because blah 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 blah." No, that's like a man repellent. When you emasculate and break a man down, that will make him want to leave your house. He will not stay. So I'll let you get the last word, Patrice. I know I went on to a little rant right about that because I think that's just really important. But please, I'd love to hear what you think about any of this.
Well, another thing that's really important is when you introduce your new spouse to your children. I think that a great sign of respect is introducing your new spouse to your children's other parent, so that there can be a mutual understanding. And I know for me, if I had a child and his or her father had a new girlfriend, I would definitely want to know who that person was, because you don't, I mean, just like he doesn't know who his children are around, you don't either. And I think it's a form of comfortability just to know that your child is okay. And I think it's very important for the parents as well as the girlfriend and the boyfriend to sit down and have a conversation and say, this is what we agreed upon. You know what I mean? This is what can happen if my child comes home and tells me this. I'm definitely going to come to you and ask questions. And I think that there should just be boundaries of respect at all times when it comes to bringing someone else around your child as well as your old spouse's child, because it's somebody else's kid too. And just like you want that person to respect you, you want them to respect the mother of your child too, or the father of your child, because that can definitely deter your relationship from your child if the mom decides, you have not introduced me to this person. Every time I've been around her, she's been disrespectful, she's been rude, she's been mean, so therefore my child cannot be around her. And then it's very easy for the mom to just say, well, you know what, my child's not going to be around you either if you want to allow this person to disrespect me and to disrespect my baby.
Mm. Yeah, that's a whole crazy world right there, boy. I tell you. Oh Lord, I think the term "my baby" and "my child" should be replaced with "our baby, our child." Because last time I checked, it takes two people to make a baby, and if you don't want to share the responsibility and the rights of owning or raising a child, then don't have sex with people that you don't want to share that responsibility with. Because having a child is a lifelong process. You're linked to that person forever, forever. You have something that's very important to both of you. It's like starting a business with somebody that's going to be here 50 years from now. You know, you're starting this business together, and they're always going to be your partner. And so, I don't think people think about that. And I mean, I don't know exactly what the recommendation is. I don't want to get into telling people what to do, but I definitely think for men, I tell them, you know, you might want to be thoughtful about where you put your penis. You put your penis in the wrong woman, she might be the mother of your child for the next 50, 60, 70 years, and you're going to have to deal with that. Same thing with women, same thing. So, so I would definitely say, so that would be my daddy advice is, the best, prevention is, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think that picking partners that are good, that will be good parents, is a great way to avoid a lot of baby mama drama and stuff like that. I also think that when the child is here, the child becomes a top priority, which means anybody else that enters into that space, has to be brought in with an understanding that the health and the well-being and the safety of the child is paramount and most important. But at the same time, you have rights too. It's okay for you to date. Just when you do, think it through. Be careful. Try to create stability. I think stability is kind of the key word when it comes to kids. You want to have things as consistent as possible. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. We good?
I'm good.
All right. Okay, everybody. Well, this is Patrice. She blogs under the name Naturally Treese, and she has a YouTube channel, and she does hair and makeup tutorials and all kinds of stuff, and she's really super, super good. So go find her. Just look up Naturally Treese. That's Triece, and you will find her channel. And I hope you'll subscribe. And she's one of the best hair and makeup people out here. Me, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I don't know nothing about hair. I ain't even got no hair. So that's all I can say. But anyway, I'm at yourblackworld.net, and this is a daddy-daughter discussion. So thank you all for checking us out. Until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.